Hi everybody, Dan Illman here, taking a look at race number 8 at Woodbine on Saturday. We kick off a 20-cent pick 4 with the grade 2 $200,000 Highlander for some fleet turf sprinters going 3/4 of a mile on the E.P. Taylor turf course. Before we take a look at the field here in the States, 4th of July is coming up. We've got a 4th of July sale at shop.drf.com. Big savings on past performances and tons of other products that can help you make informed decisions on your picks, selections, and wagering. Here's the field now for the grade 2 Highlander, and there is a lot of speed and quality in this field. The number 10 one-timer is very fast. The number 1 Catamosto is very fast. Outlaw Kids, coming off of a triple-digit buyer victory last time out, went on the lead. This is a good field, and don't ever count out the number 9 Silent Poet, who's been around for a long time and won the Highlander back in 2021. It's a good competitive field. We can go shopping for prices, perhaps. We throw up the Timeform US Pace Projector with 4th of July coming up. It's going to be a barbecues all over the place here in the States, and there might be a barbecue at Woodbine on Saturday. Note the red bar on your Timeform US Pace Projector. That indicates that this race is likely to be run at a fast pace, and the number 10 one-timer, coming off 2 consecutive gate-to-wire wins, is expected to be up on the lead, along with Catamosto, who pressed the pace last time out in a Tapeta allowance at Woodbine. I think one-timer is fast enough to make the lead if he absolutely wants it. I do think the number 9 Silent Poet has speed. Some may argue he's getting a little bit long in the tooth as he's aged. Maybe he's not as fast as one-timer, who's likely going to try to run and gun. We'll kick things off with Catamosto, a horse that's done some good work on turf, but got back on the winning track in this race. A first-level allowance at Woodbine, going 7/8 of a mile on the Tapeta surface. This was not a strong field that Catamosto beat. 5 horses have already come out of this race to run, and none of them hit the board in their next race, with the best buyer speed figure of the 5 being an 81. Catamosto is 20-1 on the morning line. I really don't want to knock this horse because he has shown some ability overseas, and he did run pretty well at Saratoga in his North American debut. He goes out for Mark Casse, a high percentage trainer if there ever was one. I think he's in 2 Hall of Fames, and Catamosto obviously has tactical speed. I think if he's the one chasing a fast pace, though, it could really work against him. The 2 is Outlaw Kid, and in my opinion, Outlaw Kid is one of the keys to this race. He goes out for a red-hot trainer in George Weaver. It doesn't matter if it's the United States or at Royal Ascot. Weaver horses are running. Weaver horses are winning. Outlaw Kid is winning. Here's his last race, June 15th, second-level allowance at Belmont, and he sat right off the leaders in here. The pace was not very fast. They almost went 46 seconds to the half in this 3/4 of a mile race on Belmont's inner turf, but I like the way he finished it off. He kicks clear, wins with a 100 buyer speed figure. It was his first start off about a 6-month layoff. He has returned strong as a 4-year-old, and the tactical speed that he showed in that race puts him in good stead here, because he's likely to break well under Eric Cancel, maybe let the speeds go, and sit into a perfect pace-tracking, ground-saving position. If he runs back to that last race from a speed figure standpoint, he's very, very dangerous. 3-1 on the morning line. The 3 is Old Chestnut, and Old Chestnut was 3rd last time out in the Jacques Cartier, going 3/4 of a mile on synthetic. We take a look at that race right now. I thought he ran pretty well in this race. There wasn't a ton of pace, and he came on to finish 3rd, and the winner's a pretty good horse. A horse that came back to run 2nd in New York on dirt in the grade 2 True North with a 99 buyer speed figure. Old Chestnut was claimed for $32,000 3 starts back, and maybe you might want to question his quality, but he was up against it from a pace standpoint last time out. The winner was up close to the pace. Old Chestnut tried to rally from mid-pack. He should get a better setup here. He's always done good work on turf. He's going to be a big price. So maybe if you think this pace collapses, Old Chestnut can get a piece at a price at the very least. The number 4 is Masetto, and Masetto's coming off of a win, and Mark Casse and team did a great job here. They had this horse ready to rock and roll off of a year layoff. It's a 5/8 of a mile allowance on Woodbine's inner turf course, and Masetto had a very nice trip. The speeds went on with it. Masetto saved ground early, and once Masetto got into the clear, Masetto had his way. He's shown ability. He's won his last 2 starts. When you keep him sound, it appears appears that he has some run. That 97 Beyer off the year layoff is impressive. A lightly raced 4-year-old with perhaps some upside. He's another horse that has the tactical speed to work out a good trip. Lucky Score is the number 5, and Lucky Score finished second last time out. And this is another horse that you might want to consider at a big price underneath in your single race exotics. He was good enough to win the Grade 3 Vigil on synthetic 3 starts back. And while he's known as a synthetic horse, he's done well enough on turf that makes me think with the right setup, he can get a piece. His last race was an allowance. It was his first start of the year. The connections were likely using it as a prep. There was not a lot of pace in that race. He still came with a good run to finish second. He should get a better setup here. The 6 is Oceanic, up from the States, where he last ran at Horseshoe, Indianapolis, going 5/8 of a mile. He didn't have a great trip that day, and that's really been the kind of story of Oceanic's career. Going back in your formulator past performances, you can click on the short comments and watch a lot of his races. He gets into trouble at times, and the question is, while he's run some fast races, a second in the 2022 Woodford, a Grade 2 behind the very good Golden Pal, he's earned triple-digit Beyer speed figures in his career. He's the kind of horse that needs a setup and a trip. To me, the morning line just a little bit light for Oceanic. I would want more if I was betting him. I'm expecting him to come with a little bit of a run. I do worry about the form he's in, and that he's the kind of horse that needs things to go his way. Super Dormy's up next. We'll watch his last race. This is that allowance win on turf going 3/4 of a mile. He looked good in here. The pace wasn't very fast. He comes with a run. He takes care of business once he makes the lead. I thought it was a good performance, and Lucky Score, who ran well behind him in that race, might have run just as well considering he was up against it from a pace standpoint. But let's take nothing away from Super Dormy. These connections claimed him for $50,000. They ran him in some tough spots at Gulfstream Park. I think he's found his niche as a turf sprinter, and he's likely going to be sitting in mid-pack trying to make a run. Another horse a little bit light for me at 8-1 on the morning line because he has to prove himself against this tough competition. Striker is up next. That's the number 8. This horse ran last time out at Woodbine in the Super Dormy race. Couldn't find an excuse. I know the pace was pressured. It wasn't very fast. They went almost 23 seconds for the opening quarter mile. Striker was able to get to the lead, and he just didn't have anything when Super Dormy came calling for him. It was his first start off of a short layoff, but this is a horse that's run well fresh in the past. Josie Carroll's a good trainer. Maybe we'll see Strikers revert to the rating tactics that worked very well for him on synthetic in his second lifetime start. Considering that the pace should be fast, it might behoove the connections to be a bit more patient with the number 8 Striker, but I was a bit disappointed with his last race. Silent Poet has been a good horse for a very long time up at Woodbine. As I mentioned, he won the Highlander in 2021, and he looked very good doing so. The problem is he hasn't won since. His last race was an allowance going 5/8 of a mile. He was beaten by Masetto. He was part of a contested pace that day. I just am a little bit concerned about his overall form as he's gotten older. It doesn't seem like he's the same Silent Poet that he was when he was reeling off graded stakes wins sprinting here. He still does have some potent speed, and I think he'll be close to the pace. One Timer is the 10, and here's a horse taking a giant step up in class. Let's watch his last race. It's his first start of the year, his first start off of a lengthy layoff, and it's a race at Belterra Park in Ohio, going 5/8 of a mile. He's 1-5, and he wins like a 1-5 shot should. He didn't break very well from the inside post, but he soon rushed up to set a pressured pace outside. The jock made sure to keep him well off the rail in the stretch, and he strutted on home to earn a 95 Beyer speed figure for Larry Ravelli, who did such a good job with 2 fills to finish second in the Kentucky Derby and win the Ohio Derby before the horse was hurt and unfortunately retired. One Timer finished off his 3-year-old season in 2022 with a gate-to-wire gambit in the Franklin Simpson Stakes over the European-type configuration at Kentucky Downs. I think One Timer's speed plays well, and I think he's the kind of horse that has enough stamina to carry his speed if he even gets a little bit of a breather. He's done some good work throughout his career. He's 5-2 on the morning line, a little bit of a light price again as he's stepping up in class, but I do think he's a strong contender with his sort of speed. Taking a look at my top selection for the Highlander, I'm going with One Timer, seeking his 3rd consecutive victory. I think he's just faster than a horse horse like Catamosto. I think he's faster than a horse like Silent Poet. I think he has a chance to put those two horses away, and then it's all about calling out for the wire. He'll be my top pick. It's a very competitive edition of the Highlander. Good luck.